Hello and welcome to day 50 of an album a day going through my vinyl collection. And today, guys, this one's freaking me out a little bit because I had the pleasure of interviewing the artist on this album. And I was curious. Now, when I do these, sometimes I'll just pick a random album and that'll be my album for the day. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, I really like to cover this one soon, and I'll put it on a list. So I made, just kind of a list of all the days of the month and just started throwing albums up there, and this one happened to be number 50. And what's weird about it is, out of curiosity, I thought, it was probably around 2 years ago that I got to interview this artist. That interview came out exactly 2 years ago today. I just looked it up, did not realize also that I had picked this for the 50th episode specifically. So I don't know, it's a little bit of synchronicity, although we're not talking about the Police. I don't think I own that album. Do I? No, I don't know. I have a couple Police albums, but I don't have synchronicity yet. Anyway, we're talking, of course, about the 1968 release that freaked out my childhood from Arthur Brown, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. And first of all, killer, bizarre album cover. No idea what preempted this, but it freaked me out as a kid. The album itself is pretty freaky too. It's a really interesting journey, and Arthur could not have been nicer. I mean, for somebody who is the god of hellfire, this guy is like so much fun to talk to. Really enjoyed our conversation. And this is an original 1968 Atlantic pressing. It's in excellent condition. This vinyl is fantastic. I mean, yes, of course, there's a few clicks and pops. That's going to happen. On the back of the album cover, and I always thought, because I'd never seen any other pictures of Arthur Brown, I always wondered if this was Ted Neely that had posed for this, but it was not. This is Arthur. He also wears a hat that gets set on fire, which is, I don't know, you get used to that after a while, but in the beginning, especially with long hair and somebody who has had their long hair catch on fire, as I have, would probably make me a little bit nervous. But, when you've got people specifically watching you that can just run out and put out a fire very quickly, probably a little more relaxed about it than when I caught on fire, which was completely unexpected. However, this album has one of the coolest song titles, The Spontaneous Apple Creation. I love that title. But it's a really interesting journey of this character and just dealing with the trials that happen to him. But the music is amazing. And the problem with it is, though, we have no idea who's on what song. Carl Palmer is pretty sure that he is the drummer on the version of Fire, but basically, like, they just had people come in and play on songs, and they had several different people do different takes, and then they just used their favorite ones, but nobody wrote down who did what take. So there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this album. Arthur did clear a little bit of that up in our interview, and this was on episode 292 of the Haskin podcast. Again, January 11th, 2023. Pretty amazing that this would be, like I said, the day that it would happen to be that I would do this particular album. And again, just completely blindsided by that. But a favorite album of mine, one that I love, I've listened to, I don't even know how many times. I love that I have an actual 1968 version. I love the Atlantic logo too, because, as we've gone on with bands like Genesis and Abacab, and they have that, sort of reddish Atlantic. This is the only one I think I have with this logo, which makes it a little bit special. But the album being in such great condition, the sleeve is in really, really good condition too. A little bit of shelfware, but really not much. I mean, it's actually just in great shape, except for the back has a little bit of damage, and there's a little bit of a crease on the front. It looks like it's a little bit of water would be my guess. But other than that, everything's in great shape. It's not a generic sleeve, but it's one of those advertising sleeves where, hey, here's all of our artists, and check out these different albums and artists. So it's basically like, just a advertisement in there. But, one thing that I see with a lot of albums too, besides, and it's a really minimal ring wear, but this crease right here, there's no damage to that. It is just crisp and really perfect. And I like that because that seems to be pretty rare. There's usually, from people putting the album all the way back in the shelf, you see a little bit of white in the cardboard, but this one's in great shape. So yeah, killer find on this one. And when I started collecting vinyl, this was actually one of the first ones I happened to see. It was on, I believe, the first trip I took to the Antique Mall on Las Vegas Boulevard, which is actually a couple of miles south of the Strip area and all the major hotels. But still, they'll charge you more at IHOP because it's on Las Vegas Boulevard on every dish as compared to one that's like 3 miles away and is $1 less per dish. Really interesting. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Very special album. Check it out. Check out episode 292 of the Haskincast podcast. If you go to my website, scotthaskin.com, and click on the Haskincast podcast, I have all my interviews categorized in alphabetical order. You can just click on interviews and it'll take you right to all of those. And there might be some other ones that you'd like to hear too. So thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.